I have been impressed with the way Donald Trump has reached out to organized labor and the people he's had to the White House. And he's gotten qualified kudos from certain labor leaders. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't agree with you.
No, but factually he has.
No. You know, there's a process, right? There's a protocol in everything that we do, right? Whether it's coming to speak on the radio at WBSM, whether it's running for office, whether it's, you know, whatever, there's a process for everything. And there is a process to working with leaders in the labor movement. And Trump did not follow that process, right? We have a head of the labor movement. His name is Trumpka, right? If there was anybody that he was going to speak to, that is the person he should have been speaking to.
He can't speak to the other members of the AFL-CIO?
No, I'm not saying he can't. Let me tell you something. I will agree with you 100% that if Trump came down to 1199 SCIU and said, I want to talk to you, you bet we'd take that meeting. Yeah. And you bet we'd take the opportunity to have that conversation on behalf of our membership. But the fact that he didn't go to Trumpka first, right, is a problem for me. There's a protocol. That's, for me personally.
Because I'm learning something here, and I bet our listeners are too. That's why we have you in here. Explain that to me.
It's very simple, right? It's like if the mayor in Fall River or New Bedford wants to speak to somebody in the labor movement, we have a president of the Southeastern Mass Labor Council where that conversation should start. Okay. Right? And the president of the Labor Council is going to refer the appropriate person to speak on whatever that issue is if it's not the president themselves. Right? But we go with that process. Okay. So what I'm speaking about is he had labor leaders up to the Oval Office. Carpenters, I know Teamsters, carpenters. I know they were. I don't remember exactly which ones they were, but building trades. Yeah, building trades guys. Right. And they came out and they were praising him. Now, should they have avoided that meeting and said we're going to wait, we're unified here, you go through Trumpka? Would that have been the process? Did they circumvent the process? Did he circumvent the process? Explain to me from your perspective. I don't know who circumvented the process. I think that both had an obligation to follow the process, whether it was Trump reaching out to Trumpka first. It's my understanding that Trumpka has tried to get those meetings and hasn't. I think there was a responsibility of the unions that did to try to, you know, bring the parties together. And I think by and large, the biggest problem that folks in labor have, like myself, is, you know, not so much that the meeting happened, but it's what happened after the meeting happened, that these labor leaders came out and basically normalized everything that Trump has been doing, instead of saying, listen, we thank the president for meeting with us and hearing us, but these are things that we don't agree with, right? These are things that, you know, that we have a problem with, you know, and I think that's where we are as a society, is that we cannot humanize and normalize things when they're not right, regardless of who that person is. And that's what was upsetting for me in what happened after that meeting. You're a better guest than I thought, Lisa. This is why I have you here, because I have no perspective on this whatsoever. Totally honest. Because you're looking at this from your background, and you're of course you understand the labor movement. Not that I don't understand it, but I don't have the insights that you have, obviously. What you're saying is that when those guys stepped up outside that meeting, and hey, Trump's a hell of a salesman, right? And they were under the, not under the spell, I'm not going to, but something to that effect. Something to that effect, right? Because they really were praising him, big time. And you're saying, bad news. You guys were not happy with that. No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it was pretty upsetting. I turned it off. You know, I really had to turn off the TV. I was just so disappointed. And, you know, I always tell people, listen, I'm a mother first, right? That's who I am. And I expect certain behavior from people at all times. I expect that I am treated with respect, and I treat other people with respect. And that has got to be my, by and large, #1 problem with Trump, is that he is not always respecting people and treating people properly. And so anybody who would step up and normalize any of that bad behavior, right? And I think that those union leaders had an obligation to say what really needed to be said in that opportunity, and they failed to do that. Wow. Folks, we're speaking with Lisa Lemieux, who's a Democrat, a progressive activist in the Democrat Party here in Massachusetts and nationwide. I know, because she was involved in the elections. She was up in New Hampshire, which is the swing state here closest to us. She's also an organizer with Local 1199 of the Service Employees International Union. Thank you. I was going to say industrial. Thank you.
And I'm really learning something here, and I hope you folks are too as well. If you'd like, you can join us, 508-996-0500. I had written a piece recently on WBSM.com about the need to bring back manufacturing and what we should be looking for here. I think a big auto plant would be fantastic here. I don't know that we have the space specifically in New Bedford. It might be the greater New Bedford area that you could locate something like that. But that we certainly have the workforce that can do it. And based on that, because I follow the Wall Street Journal and what's been going on with the trade discussions, and the fact that another labor union person, the head of the Auto Workers Union, the UAW, United Auto Workers Union, Williams, I believe David Williams is his name, said he had to give kudos to Trump for his trade stuff, that he's the only one talking about bringing back jobs. Now, he did say that he was not happy with Trump on a myriad of things, so I think he followed the protocol. He spoke out of it. And sometimes we don't know what someone says to the newspaper, as we all know.
Absolutely.
The beauty of talk radio is whatever you say, it comes out, and that's the beauty of it. And reporters have editors, and they can't always get everything in there. But the Wall Street Journal article, small one, mentioned that Williams did criticize Trump on a variety of issues, but that he gave him qualified kudos about bringing back manufacturing. Are you optimistic at all there?
You know, I believe in democracy, and I am one of those people who is constantly trying to move forward. And I believe that we had an election, and we elected a president, and I'm going to work with that president because that's the right thing to do. And I hope and I pray that we do begin to improve on economic development, whether it's in the city of New Bedford, the state of Massachusetts, or across the country. This is what people need, right? I mean, I heard a little piece of what was going on the radio here yesterday about the minimum wage and, the fight for 15, and I am a huge supporter of the fight for 15 because the cost of living has gone up exponentially compared to people's paychecks, and they can't live on what people are making.
Sure.